We're live.
We are live, and you get a first shot of Katie. And then back to me.
That was me. Good evening.
Good evening, Susmax. Good evening, everyone. I'm Fumbi with We So Nerdy, and I am back again with Katie for a discussion about tonight's new episode of Outlander, First Wife. And we are very glad to be here, and we have a whole lot we want to say. In fact, we were talking before we started the live stream, a lot before we started the live stream. So we decided that we need to stop before we just say all the things we want to say before talking to you guys. But first, before we go there, we want to start tonight by expressing our very deep and very heartfelt condolences. Our very sincere condolences to the community of Sutherland Springs, Texas, and the victims of tonight's senseless violence. We are praying for the families. We are praying for the whole community. And we're also praying for real leadership, and we're praying for change. So we want to begin by sending our love to Sutherland Springs. Yeah, how you doing, Katie?
I want to echo everything you said. You know, our thoughts and prayers go to the community of Sutherland Springs. It's a very close-knit community of people in little small towns in that area. And so it's not just that church, it's going to be an entire community of people that are hurt and feel this for a while. And so we are praying for you, and our hearts break for you. And we really sincerely hope that there is change, because there needs to be change. And yeah, that just everything that Fumbi said.
So before we dive in, I want to remind you guys that our full recap for First Wife is up on the site. The link is included below, and it includes new clips from the show, including some of the top moments in tonight's episode. So definitely make sure that you go in and take a look. So tonight's episode, as I've said, was called First Wife, and the hashtag, Katie is laughing, and the hashtag was, well, the hashtag was First Wife, but the hashtag for a little while was also Homecoming. And we know that these two things really overlapped. They completely intertwined to create a very uncomfortable situation for Claire when she got to Lollybrook. Yet, unlike last week, I do think that the conflict between Jamie and Claire did help to move their relationship forward in a way. So rather than beating around the bush, Katie and I, we just want to get into it. We just want to dive into the climax, so to speak, of tonight's episode. Katie, what did you think about the scene where Jamie finds out that Jamie has another wife, and then very quickly who that second wife is?
Well, again, as someone who has not read the books but who's a big fan of Google, I kind of knew this was coming, and I wanted fireworks, okay? Like, I wanted Claire to just let him have it, but I really wasn't prepared. Like, even though I knew, I still wasn't prepared for the moment when this adorable little redhead girl runs in the room and it's like, Daddy, Daddy, who is this woman? Pardon me? What? And I feel like that scene is just watching Claire just be destroyed, because you can see it in her eyes, you can see it in her posture, the way she kind of like hunches down and leans into the wall. And then Leary like pops up in the doorway, and like, not only are you finding out that Jamie is married, and we don't know at the moment that those are not his children, but he's married to Leary, the woman who had Claire whipped in season 1. that Leary is the person that Jamie's married to now. Yeah, I was not happy with the outcome. I was not happy with that turn of events. I was very upset. And yeah,
well, okay.
Very upset.
So here's the thing. I feel like I always say that. Here's the thing. So
because you calmed me down.
Well, I don't know if you necessarily need to be calmed down, because it's a very, so it, like, the word that I've used, and I believe I've used it, you know, with you, Katie, as well as you, our friends who are watching. The word that I've used to describe this scene in the books is explosive. And I needed it to also be explosive on TV. And I don't know that I'll say that it was as explosive as it is in the books, but it is a crazy, crazy scene. And it needed to be a crazy scene, right? So,
totally.
So on the show tonight, Jamie, you can like Jamie just finishes telling Claire, like Jamie and Claire have a moment, right, where they essentially admit to each other that we used to imagine each other, right? Like Jamie used to imagine that Claire was there, and even went to the Silky Island in order to search for her, thinking that she had returned. And, you know, Claire said that, you know, I wish that you would have come back for me. And whenever, you know, I hear bird song, I thought that you were talking to me. And then they talk about what's the bird, you know, the two birds that mate for life. So yeah. Kill both of them. So, you know, like, it's a very intimate scene that they just had together. And you could tell that Jamie is feeling some type of way. Jamie is like, the guilt is weighing on him.
Oh, it's what he's just like, I need to tell you something else.
You can tell it's so weighing on him. And then just as he's about to tell her, he's like, you know, I was really trying to consult with Ned first. And like, my question, like, if I'm Claire, I'm thinking, what in the world is so serious that you need legal advice in order to talk to me about it, right? And then, boom, this little red-haired girl busts into the room talking about some daddy. That is shocking. But it's not as shocking as the scene in the book, because in the book, the reveal takes place in the morning, and Jamie and Claire are actually having sexy times. So little girl bursts into the room and catches them in the middle of sexy times. So it could have been more explosive, right, to match the book, but it didn't go that far. But it was still, I thought it was still pretty explosive. And I mean, even like when Leary comes in and Leary is calling Claire all sorts of name under the book. B, witch, C, like every single, you adulterous whore, it's every single word under the book. Leary is calling her that name. So it was a massive confrontation. It was that.
Oh, it was. And at the same time, as she's calling Claire all these names, I'm like, if you would look to the side, perhaps you would see the man that you've married who's also engaging in this. Maybe you would like to call him some names, you know, because maybe she doesn't know. She hasn't been here in a while. Maybe she doesn't get it. But this dude, the one you're married to, maybe you should just yell at him too, as opposed to this woman who's breaking down in the corner over here.
And the scene was even, I felt, so and this is probably taking the conversation to some stuff that we want to talk about later, but I just need to mention here that, and I hope that folks are watching, that you guys will comment on your thoughts about this, but it seemed to me that the show focused much more on Jamie's relationship with Joan and Marcelly. I hope I'm pronouncing her name correctly. Focused on the relationship between Jamie and the kiddos, like, and much more, because like even after Jamie leaves and like chases after Leary, he ends up having this like very what I feel is a very adult conversation with a little girl who's like 7 or 8, talking to her about, oh, you know, it's not really going to work out with me and your mom. And, you know, I have a forever love with this other lady. Yeah. It's a pretty adult conversation, I think. But I think it shows Jamie's very close relationship with these children. and not necessarily even with Leary herself. So it felt really bad to have the kids, like, first of all, walk in on Jamie with Claire and then observe this very toxic interaction between Jamie, Claire, and Leary. So that was highly uncomfortable, I thought.
It was, and that, you're right, that conversation was so odd to me because, and I know that sometimes, you know, these kids obviously witness something and it needs to be addressed, but this little girl, I mean, she's like, so what's going to happen now? And Jamie kind of explains it to her in a very mature way. You know, I don't really have this kind of love for your mom. This woman that I do have this love for is here now. You know, I'm not going to throw that away, but I'll still be here to take care of you. And I'm just like, is she really going to understand that? And also the fact that you mentioned it before we started recording, Jamie's been in Edinburgh for a long time. Like, he hasn't really been at home, you know, with the kids. And so do they already feel a little abandoned by him and stuff?
Oh, that's a good point. That's a good point.
And now to have this thrown on top of it, it's like, so you're really going to be gone now?
Yeah.
And so I kind of wonder how the girls will deal with that.
Yeah.
And I do feel bad for the children. I don't necessarily feel bad for Leary, but that's my own personal opinion. So for Leary,
we can talk about that. We can talk about that a little bit, right? Because I mean, I think the question that pops into our minds, I think it popped into my mind, and I think it popped into our minds, is that why in the world would Jamie marry Leary, right? And I think it's more so, again, my perception, more so on the show than on the books, it's about Jamie wanting to be a father.
Yeah.
Jamie has lost faith. Jamie has lost Bree, who he now knows her name. Jamie has lost Willie. So Jamie wants to have the experience of raising children. And, you know, the relationship with Joan and Marcely gives him that, right? So that flashback to Harmony, and he's so lonely, and it's those two girls that reach out to him and like pull him out to dance, right? So it's that connection that I think Jamie is really looking for. And it's like, yeah, I have to marry Leary, but it's this relationship with these children that I'm looking for. So that, I felt that made sense to me in a way that the book situation did not make sense to me.
See, I understand Jamie's desire to be a dad, and you could see that with those girls, especially when they brought him in and they were dancing with him, and they made him happy. And he hadn't been happy in a long time. He even tells Claire that was a moment of happiness for him, that he felt happy for the first time in a long time. And so I understand it, and I do want Jamie's happiness, and I want Jamie to have these relationships with children because he really, really wants to be a dad, and he never gets that opportunity. It just happens that happened with Leary's kids.
Exactly.
It's not the kids' fault that they're Leary's.
And they do seem like very sweet children, unlike their
world. Did they get that older one to look like so much like Leary?
Yeah. Oh, I can't remember her name. Is it like Lauren Lyle, I think is the actress's name? I'm sorry. I'll look it up and get it right next time. But when they cast her last summer, I think, and they shared her, like stars shared her picture, like I was looking just the same as you, like, oh my goodness, this girl, they really got it right. She looks a lot like Leary.
Well, when she first popped into the screen with the younger daughter, I was like, oh my goodness, Leary still looks so young. And then it took me a moment to realize that, oh, this is her older daughter, because they look so much alike. I mean, that's on point casting right there.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is that, as you know, as we've been saying, like Leary is sort of the side peace in the situation. I hate to put it that way, but it's like, yeah, well, Leary is also a link back to who Jamie was before Claire, even before Claire, before Culloden, before all of that stuff. So I imagine that having Leary like as a connection back to his old life would be something that would appeal to Jamie. So I don't want it to be like, oh, Jamie didn't necessarily see anything in Leary. I don't think that's the case, but it was definitely about these two children. And that's something that I feel like that's a change from the book. And other, folks that are watching, I wonder what you guys think. Do you think it's a change for the book that they would focus more on the relationship with the children? I think it's definitely different than my perception of the events in the book, but it's a change that I appreciate.
Well, it sort of seems like they would need to change it from the books, though, because in the books, Jamie doesn't know that it's Leary who kind of gets Claire in trouble, right?
No, Jamie does not know that it's
in the TV
who tried to have Claire burnt as a witch.
So in the TV show, we know that Jamie knows, so there has to be some other redeeming factor here to get Jamie involved. Yeah. And I guess that is her children.
That makes sense. Yeah, that's something that does make sense to me and does endear me more to the situation, because as I said, I do think those two girls are adorable.
They're cute.
They are adorable. And little Joan,
bless her.
she feels very close to Jamie, and that I found that to be quite sweet. However, there's the situation of Claire still back up in the bedroom packing up her stuff because she is getting ready to bounce.
Oh yeah, she's gone. she's packing her things and she is hitting the road.
Oh my gosh. But it's the thing, again, in the books, it was the middle of the day when this happened, or it was morning at least. Here, it's the middle of the night, and you're like, Claire, girl, where are you gonna go? You're not just gonna wander into the night in the middle of, 18th century Scotland. But I guess she was that angry.
I say, I can see her packing her bags and just taking off walking. Just being like, nope, we're done. I'll find the stones. Don't worry about me. I'll take my horse.
Oh, so it makes sense that Claire would be angry, right? But were you surprised that Jamie was as angry as he was? Because Jamie was, forgive me, Jamie was pissed. Jamie was really, 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 really mad.
He was and when I watched it, I was really mad at Jamie for how he reacted and how he was so upset at Claire for just having the audacity to pack up her things and think she was going to leave him, and, being upset that he married someone else and all this stuff. And the more I think about it, I don't know if Jamie's really mad about Claire's reaction.
Okay.
I think that he's mad at himself, and I think that he's mad about their circumstances in general, and all of this stuff has just been sort of festering inside, and this is the first opportunity he has to really just get it all out.
Okay.
All of his anger, all of his frustrations, because he even brings up the fact of, Frank again.
Oh, goodness. Yes, he does bring it up. Yes, he does bring it up. And oh, my gosh. Can I read the quote?
Read the quote.
Oh my gosh. So they're going back and forth, right? They're going back and forth, and they're just, oh my goodness. I just need to say Sam and Kate were brilliant in this scene, but I'm looking at Sam especially because he says he has so many lines in that scene, but he's just spitting it out. Literally it's as if it's actually his thoughts. Because he's literally just spitting them out, and it's coming out of him. And I was really impressed with Sam in that scene. But he says, so this is Claire asks, did you think that I just went off with Frank and had a happily ever after? And Jamie says, sometimes I hope you did. And sometimes I could see it. Him with you, day and night, lying with you, taking your body, holding my bairn. And God, I could kill you for it. And you're just like that entire, and he just spits that out. And you're just like, whoa, Jamie, bro. Bro.
Yeah.
Bro. What's going on?
I would say, I don't think all of the issues you're having here are with her packing her things. I think that you need to talk about some issues you've got going on. Because Jamie is upset because he doesn't know Bree, and Frank got to raise his daughter, and Claire hasn't been truthful about her relationship with Frank. She hasn't told him straight up, hey, we were not a happily ever after. We were a marriage in name. It was not happy. She hasn't told him that. So Jamie's got in his head, oh, well, she's, she had this, sometimes I thought, you were just living happily ever after, and, he was raising my child and I could kill you for it. And he blames her, and she's like, I would have died with you.
Thank you. Thank you.
And you through the stones. I would have died with you there.
Thank you. And that's the thing. And I don't know. I mean, we need to talk about this if we can, because it seems to me more so in the TV show than in the book that there's this underlying blame that comes up like from time to time, blaming Claire for leaving. And it's like,
yeah.
Are you kidding me? Claire literally wanted to stay and die by your side at Culloden. She did not care. She did not want to go back. You, Jamie, are the one who forced her back. So for now to have this, yeah, sometimes I am mad at you about it. Sometimes, I could kill you for it. That makes no sense to me. And I'm glad that Claire defended herself and pushed back against that, because it feels time and time again, like ever since this reunion period, it has come back that Jamie feels this resentment, and that resentment makes absolutely no sense whatsoever to me. I did not get that sense of resentment in the books, and I'm really not liking it in the show. Claire is not to blame in any way for this. That's all I have to say about it. But I needed to say it.
See, I don't think Claire's to blame. And I understand Jamie's desire to want to make sure that Claire is safe and that their child is safe, because, that's who Jamie is. He wants to protect them, even if that means sending them through the stones and never seeing them again. But that's not who Claire is. Claire would have stayed. Claire would have died. And even later in the episode, Jenny brings it back up. She says, the Claire I knew.
Oh, yes, Jenny
would
did.
have searched for Jamie, would not have just said, well, he died. So your story's not adding up, because the Claire that I knew 20 years ago would not have done this. And that's exactly right, because the Claire that they all knew would not have left Jamie that way.
Yeah.
And just kind of given up the search, because that's kind of how they make it sound.
Yeah.
And Claire does cover for herself rather well, but Jenny still knows she's hiding something.
Yeah.
She's like, I know you're not telling me the whole truth.
Yeah. No, you remember that that episode or that review we filmed on the reasons why we love Claire Randall Fraser, and one of them was because Claire is ride or die.
Yeah.
That is like this in a nutshell. Like, she is ride or die for Jamie. And I mean, I just need Jamie to acknowledge that and sort of stop villainizing Claire for leaving. That's what I know this had to happen in this episode. Okay, but I never want to hear this again. I don't want to hear it again. Like, we're going to blame Claire for going back through the stones. Let that part of the storyline die now.
Yes. And, Jamie has got a lot of stuff to deal with, because he has a hard 20 years. But, and Claire brings it up to him. She's like, because he's like, you're going to leave her. I think Claire says something about leaving Leary or coming back to her, something like that.
Oh, yes, yes.
And I know Jamie has that whole I'm damned if I do, damned if I don't thing. And I'm like,
I love that.
Yeah, dude, you sort of are, because it looks bad either way. And so you got to accept it.
Yeah.
And yeah, sorry, it happens this way. And
no, that the line is, and this is again like Sam was so
good.
Sam was like, again, he was just the words were just flowing, and it was fantastic. But he says, "No, I'm damned one way or the other. If I felt anything for her, I'm a faithless lecher, and if I didn't, I'm a heartless beast." And Claire's like, "Yeah, yeah, that's about right, actually." Just that, Katie.
Yeah, that's because I mean, if you felt something for her, then obviously Claire's going to be hurt because she did ask him if he'd fallen in love, and he told her no. And so that means he lied to Claire. So yes, but he didn't know Claire, he didn't know he'd ever see Claire again. So there's some, there's layers there. And then, if he didn't, yeah, well, you knew that she cared for you and that she was sort of obsessed with you when she was younger. Mm-hmm. And so you did marry her knowing that she had all of these feelings for you. And so, yeah, that's, you knew. And it's a really, it's a rock and a hard place. I'm sorry, bud.
Well, speaking of hard places.
Moving right along into that one.
Speaking of hard places. So here's the thing. So in the outline, I wrote hate sex. But I remember when Katie was watching this and she was like live texting me or whatever, this is a little like mini debate that we had whether or not Jamie and Claire were actually having sex before Jenny poured a literal bucket of water over them. I think they were having sex. Katie?
I'm not denying that there was penetration, but I am just saying that there was a lack of furthering that.
Okay, fair enough. But I thought that scene.
I mean, yeah, it was like really hot. I wanted it to continue, and then
that was the physicality of it, like the grabbing, the slapping, the pushing, the rolling. But keep in mind that Jamie did take a moment to say, Claire, I love you and only you. So he did put that out there before the actual sex commenced. But it was explosive. It was explosive. They could have taken it further, but I think they certainly took it far enough for the purposes of the show. It was good.
I mean, it was good. I enjoyed it. I was like, yes, finally, like some of their passion coming out in a very volatile way because, all of these things have just happened and they're both feeling so vulnerable and upset. And this is a way for them to show it. And we start getting to like the really great part where you're like, yay. And then Jenny comes in with cold water. And I'm just like, you have literally been shady and rude since we stepped into Lolly Rock. And now you are coming in this room and you were ending this before it could start.
I know.
And she's like, there are people in this house. And I'm like, close your ears. You've got like 6 kids, Jenny.
You know what's about to go down.
Exactly.
Well, so do you want to talk about Claire and Jenny's relationship, or do you want to keep talking about the Jamie, Claire, Leary situation?
Well, we have a nice segue into Jenny, but then there's Leary does come back.
Leary does come back.
He always comes back.
Yeah, and she's still gonna come back again, but
see, I'm done with this. Like,
zip. That's all I'm gonna say. Zip. I shouldn't have even said that.
Oh yeah.
I know. Okay, so Claire tries to leave the next day.
Yes, she
Jamie tries to stop her.
P.S. I love her.
And then Leary pops back up and decides that she wants to handle the situation for herself with a gun.
Which is outlawed in the Highlands. So what are you thinking?
Yeah. It was, I was live tweeting tonight, and even watching this episode again, Like, Leary, that was insane. Like, what are you doing? You're literally, you're here and you're trying to kill somebody. For what?
Exactly. Like, I mean, if you kill him, you're not getting alimony and you're going to go to jail. Like, Leary is not looking, let's be real, she's not looking to shoot Jamie. She's looking to shoot Claire.
Yeah, that's what
and Claire at this point is like, listen, I don't want to be a part of this. Look, I got my bag. I am leaving. And that moment when, you know, Claire's leaving, she's walking out. It's a very reminiscent of a scene in season 2 when Claire goes back to Lollybrook and she's kind of looking around and she turns and she sees Jamie standing in that archway.
Oh, yeah.
And this scene right here, how Jamie kind of
I see what you're saying.
I had so many like season 2 feels because like this is what we wanted. This is that Claire Jamie that we wanted to see, but this is not how we wanted to see it. We don't want you begging her to stay.
Well, the thing is that so we were actually talking about this, that the show is like picking up and moving the events very quickly. In the book, Claire actually leaves. And she almost makes it back to Craigna Dunn. It's actually Ian who comes to get her back because Jamie has been shot. I believe I'm remembering those events correctly. But now, you know, Claire doesn't even make it out of Lollybrook. She's actually there to witness Leary's insanity shooting Jamie. And the entire scene of, you know, Claire like performing that surgery and patching Jamie up, like Claire is definitely still mad, but the love is there, you know? And even when Jamie tells her the story of, you know, the hogmanay and like, you know, that he really wanted to be a parent, but, you know, he couldn't be around a woman who feared his touch. And what does Claire do? She reaches and she grabs his hand and she touches him. You know, and even that is sort of this signal that, yeah, I'm mad at you. Yeah, I'm pissed at you. I'm angry. And maybe there is a lot of anger here and a lot of conflict here, but there's so much love here too. And that, I mean, I've said it before, I'll say it again. That's why I'm here. That's why I'm here for Outlander the books. That's why I'm here for Outlander the TV show. For me, it comes back always to Jamie and Claire's love. So that is what I liked that came out of this conflict. And there were several points throughout the conflict that lasted the entire episode where that came out. This love between them came out. And I love that.
And yeah, I mean, you nailed it, like all of that, yes. Because they can be angry with each other. And there's never going to be a relationship in which it's always sunshine and rainbows. Like, you're going to get frustrated with someone and you're going to be angry with them. But it doesn't mean that you don't love them anymore. Like, I love you, but I'm really not liking what's happening right now, so I'm going to be angry about it. I can be. It's fine. And we'll work it out and we'll talk it out later. And, you know, and Claire does that. She you know, springs into action. She helps Jamie. She takes care of his wounds, and she takes care of him. And she's I love how she's so, you know, adamant. She's like, no more whiskey. And he's like, you know, you need liquids. And he's like, isn't whiskey liquid? And she's like, water.
Oh my God. I was like, Jamie, bro, this is not the time to be making jokes. This is not the time to be making jokes, bro. Like, don't joke around like with Swiss cheese or whatever. Don't joke around with whiskey. Just hush.
I know. And she's like, we need to give you some penicillin. You're burning up. And he's like, why are you putting a needle in my ass? And I'm just like,
but she enjoyed it.
She did. I was like, you push that needle down a little bit harder, Claire. It'll be fine.
And I enjoyed it too. Penicillin to the rescue.
I was like, well, you know, that penicillin came in handy.
It did.
They're back together, and they're
yeah. And I mean, that's by the end of the episode, I mean, as I said, like it's been this frustration between them has been coming out back and forth, right? Several times Jamie says, you know, over the last 20 years, I was haunted by the memory of you. And then Claire says the exact same thing. Over the last 20 years, I was haunted by the memory of you, right? For me, it's that the moment at the end where Claire is like, you know, I didn't think it was going to be this difficult. And Jamie says the gospel truth. What's the line? When has it ever been easy? And it's like, that is it's such a small line, but it's so meaningful because it's the truth. It's never been easy for Jamie and Claire. Their lives have always been crazy together. But again, we come back to the love, right? And that's where Jamie brings us back. You know, we're mated for life, Sassenach, he said.
You go on and read this last quote because it is my favorite and it is perfection.
I will read it. Jamie says, but I've apologized for it. I've done all I can to make it right. You belong with me. We're mated for life, Sassenach. Will you risk the man I am for the sake of the one you once knew?
That line owned me.
Yeah. It was, and again, like, the conflict is there, but more so in this episode than last week, the conflict progressed the relationship. I felt like that in the, like, despite the conflict, we were able to get to a place where the love is still there and the love is very strong between them. And I appreciated that so much. It was crazy, but we got there and I'm feeling good.
Yeah, I loved it, and we did. And there's like this whole underline since goodness gracious, since episode 6, when they are reunited in 7 and this one, there's been that undercurrent of tension that's just been waiting to kind of explode. And it did this episode, and we finally got to talk about things that were bothering kind of both of them. And there's an outside to it. There is them together working through all these issues and problems. And you know, they're going to do the best together because Jamie and Claire are always better together because they're partners.
Oh my gosh, Katie, you're making me so emotional. That is the truth. I love Jamie and Claire so much. And I know you guys love Jamie and Claire so much. And Katie, you said it. They are better together.
They're better together.
They're better together.
I will admit, though, this episode, whenever they, Jamie mentions going and getting the treasure of the island, and they're like, well, how are you going to pass off this treasure? And he's like, oh, we'll go to France, and, you know, we'll take care of it there. I had a severe moment where I was like, you are not going back to France. You are kidding me, right?
You guys are
not going to France.
In Paris again.
Yeah, I was like,
remember what happened last time? Yeah.
I was like, no, we're not going back to Paris. I don't care how much I like the French version of the opening of this song. We are not going back to France. I was like,
we still have PTSD from season 2.
I know. I was like, no France. No France ever.
Dragonfly and Amber hurts. It's still, I would say that it's fair that there's PTSD regarding France. So
I've always wanted to travel to Paris, but I'm sitting here going like, bad things happen.
Well, bad things happen to Jamie and Claire.
Exactly.
In Paris.
This is true. And it was, oh goodness gracious. Anyway, so I am happy that it doesn't seem like they're going to go back to Paris, but I am unhappy with the circumstances in which they might not.
Okay. So let us
get back to Jenny.
Let's talk about Jenny, because I think Jenny will help us transition to
the next part,
to the situation that you just mentioned.
Situation.
So, like, I just kept watching. So, in my recap, in my live tweeting, and in my outline, I have Jenny, the shade of it all.
The shade of it all.
It was like, for me, tonight was Jenny, the queen of shade. Like, that's how I perceived it. Jenny was so shady towards Claire from beginning until the end, she warms up a little bit. But Jenny was mad.
She was. And Claire kind of describes it, I think, the best way. She's like, Jenny can shine a very warm light on people that she likes and a very cold shadow on those that she's upset with. And that's what we see. We see this. And I don't think it all stems from Claire either. I think Claire is in the wrong place at the wrong time because Jenny's also super pissed about Jamie having Ian do his little smuggling stuff on the side. And Jamie's like, you know where the money comes from. And she's like, but my child.
Yeah. And I think Jenny makes, this is going to be, this might be another unpopular opinion again that gets me in trouble. And I'm sorry if it is, but I don't like Jenny in the books. I do not like Jenny in the books, but I like TV Jenny because she makes sense to me. It makes sense to me that, Jamie is her brother and Claire was like a sister to her. So for this perception that Claire abandoned the family and then is suddenly back wanting to be part of the family, I understand Jenny feeling some type of way about it. And maybe what does Ian say? Like stirring the pot of, I don't know. I can't remember the line.
It's like something about basically like you like to stir up shit.
Yeah. And that's what Jenny does. And that's what Jenny does throughout this whole episode. But I don't know if their relationship, like Jenny and Claire's relationship, can be repaired, but I also don't think that Jenny hates Claire. So that's sort of where it ends for me, that Jenny feels really bad for the situation that ends in Jamie being shot by Leary. And, Jenny understands that Claire really does love her brother and was in a difficult situation where she had to leave them, but that Claire is back now and that Claire is here for Jamie. So I do believe that Jenny understands that, but gosh, the shade of it all.
Yeah, I think that I know that Jenny wants Jamie's happiness, and she understands that Claire makes Jamie happy. And she even goes so far as to mention a few times, even when you said the strangest things, and Jamie just told me, well, that she says these things, just do what she says. We planted potatoes, and that got us through some, terrible winters. I feel like Jenny is putting herself saying, I've trusted you to the point where I didn't necessarily want to, but I trusted you for my brother's sake because he told me to believe you. And I don't think you're being honest. Mm. And Claire, that's when Claire kind of tells her, I was married back in the colonies and, all that. Yeah. And she's like, I see some truth here, but also I feel like you're still holding something back.
Yeah. No, I think I push back on Jamie. So when Jamie's like, we can't tell Jenny the truth because, she isn't a very worldly person. At least Murtaugh, he had some experience in the world. Jenny has never left Lollybrook, etc. But I feel like Jamie is selling his sister short because Jenny herself, she has some sort of, I don't know how, like supernatural. I don't mean that. She has some sort of abilities, right? Because she tells Claire that, the day Leary and Jamie wed, and they were standing at the altar, I saw you, Claire, standing between Jamie and Leary. So she has some sort of sight, something. So I actually do think that Jenny would understand if they told her the truth. I mean, they don't tell her the truth, but I do think Jenny would have understood.
I think she would have understood too. I mean, I don't think that she would have, like how Murtaugh is so accepting of it and just like, oh, this explains so much. And it's like, okay, why didn't you tell me earlier? This could have solved so many problems. Mm-hmm. I think Jenny probably would have been a little bit more, she would probably have been more analytical. Like, I need some, you're going to have to sit down and explain this step by step.
Yeah.
And that would have been fine. I would have liked to heard that conversation.
Yeah.
I think that Jenny is protective of her family.
Very.
And I think for a while she considered Claire her family.
Yeah.
And it, you know, to see someone pop up that you thought was dead after 20 years, that's shocking. And also, why didn't you say anything? Why didn't you let us know?
Why didn't you write letters? Family write letters, right?
Yeah, family writes letters. And so that's all confusing to Jenny. And so in Claire's defense, she couldn't write letters, obviously, for reasons. You know, it's hard. It's hard to lie to someone that you care about. And Claire really does care about Jenny.
Yeah.
You know, she really does.
Yeah. But the thing is that Jenny very much perceives those lies.
Oh yeah, she knows
those lies from Jamie, and she certainly perceives those lies from Claire. But what I think is, by the end of the episode, I think Jenny gets to a place where she's like, yeah, these two people are lying to me, but it doesn't necessarily come from a malicious place.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully, yeah, I mean, I don't know that Jamie and Claire, we don't see Jamie and Claire leaving Lollybrock. So I would be interested, while we're sort of adding to the list of outtakes we want to see on the season 3 DVD, I would be interested to see what the scene, if they filmed it, the scene of Jamie and Claire leaving Lollybrock to go to travel to the Silky Island, because I would be curious about what that parting interaction was like between Jenny and Claire. Was it cold, like their arrival? Was it a little bit warmer? Was it a little awkward? So I would like to see that parting, just to get a better sense of where Claire and Jenny's relationship is.
That would have been really nice, especially considering where their relationship might be when they get back, if they go back to Lollybrock.
Yeah.
Considering what happens at the island.
At the island. Just one more thing I want to mention before we move on to talk about Ian's situation. Claire tells Jenny about Frank. Claire tells Jenny she did not have any children of her own with Frank.
Mm-hmm.
Claire does not tell Jenny about Bree. What is that?
Okay. Well, because then, like, well, why didn't you bring her with you? Why didn't you come over? Why didn't you bring her to see, her father's homeland? If you wanted to find Jamie and had hope that he was alive, why not bring her to have some closure? And then you could have stopped by Lollybrock and been like, hey, this is her. So I don't understand why she kept Bree a secret, unless she knows that there's no chance Bree of coming back and having that interaction.
Okay. Maybe that makes sense. I don't know.
Like, I didn't
know why Claire didn't mention Bree, but that reasoning does make sense. That maybe Claire's like, well, they're never ever gonna know about Bree anyway. They're never gonna meet Bree anyway. So why bring it up? But the reason why it's curious to me is because I feel like that I think would potentially make Jenny more sympathetic, because if Claire is like, look, I was pregnant, I thought Jamie was dead, for the survival of myself and my child, I had to move on. I feel like Jenny would be sympathetic towards that, but maybe I'm reading that wrong.
I think Jenny would have been sympathetic to it. I kind of wondered, it seemed like such a good opening in a way to say, well, I had to get married to protect myself. because I was pregnant. It's like, if you're a single mother in the colonies, chances are you're probably going to try and find someone to marry to have that protection. But I don't know. I don't know why she didn't bring it up.
Yeah. We'll have to put a question mark.
Yeah.
Question mark in it, and then think about it. But that is very curious to me. But now we move on to wee Ian, or young Ian. I call him wee Ian because that's what we called him in the books. But
I still call him Ian.
John Bell, I love him as wee Ian. Like, he has like the bravado and like I can swim, a quarter of a mile, or Auntie Claire killed him and killed him good. Or I'm growing these whiskers, or you know what I mean? Like, John Bell just has it. He has it. That I think he's a great wee Ian. And wee Ian, I think, is hilarious. He's one of my favorite characters.
He's funny and he's adorable, and he's just so precious. God bless him. And I automatically feel very protective of these cinnamon rolls, and I feel like they must be protected. Like, this wee Ian needs to be protected. And I don't know what happens to him in the books, because I've not like Googled that character specifically, because I didn't know that I would grow attached to him. So I feel like very vulnerable right now.
Ian, to me, so how Jenny was saying that trouble like follows Jamie, like Jamie tends to get into trouble. I feel like Ian is a similar character, a similar individual. Like, wee Ian gets into predicaments. And of course, the end of tonight's episode, we see one of those, right? That he's like, I could totally swim to Silky Island and get this treasure. And then he's like caught up by these random people. Like, what else would there be a ship randomly passing by a random island and randomly capture this guy, this boy, and take him aboard their ship?
And me, the whole time I'm sitting here going, why are we swimming to the island? Why don't we just take a little rowboat? Why's he got to swim that far? Like, why can't we just take a rowboat to the island and then get off?
Where are they going to get a boat from, though?
Like, surely someone has one lying around. I mean, it's right near the water.
Maybe. I guess I never thought about that.
I was watching him swim out there as they were talking. I guess it gives Jamie and Claire that time to kind of talk, and a beautiful situation, scenery. But I was sitting there going, that poor child's so cold. Why didn't they get him a boat?
The islands have been abandoned, So I don't know that I think people would be like out there like fishing, etc.
Yeah.
But I mean, the first time
mentality.
Sorry?
I said, this is my protect the cinnamon roll mentality. Like,
he needs protection. He needs protection because he's definitely caught up now.
Oh yeah, he's in it.
Well, the thing is, in the books, Jamie has like been told Ian, like Elder Ian and Jenny about the location of this treasure. And over the years, Elder Ian has taken like wee Jamie as well as his older sons to the Silky Island from time to time to get precious stones that they would then take to France and change into money just to help them survive in Lollybrook. So it's I think a pretty big change in the books that first Jamie has not yet told his sister and Elder Ian about the treasure, and also that Jamie apparently hasn't been back to Silky Island since the first time he was there. So that is, I don't know necessarily why they made that change in the book, but I mean, yeah, they go back. Ian, oh my gosh, Ian was coming down, the side of the island, and he was cheering. Oh my God, he's so happy. And then He is literally caught up. I don't know. I know.
I was watching that. I was like, oh gosh, yay, look at him go. Everything's turning out. And I saw some sales and I was just like, no.
And the thing is that I keep flashing back in my mind to that moment where Elder Ian is like, you know, they agree that Ian is going to go with them and then go to France to get some experience outside of Scotland. And then Elder Ian says, you know, you're going to take better care of him this time, right? And then Jamie stands up and he sort of puffs himself and he's like, you don't have to worry. We'll take good care of him. And then you get the boy, like the boy is like caught. And it's like, oh my goodness. If it can go wrong, it will go wrong for these people.
It's best if we just don't say we're going to keep folks safe. We should just say we're going to try our best. Yeah. And that way, you know, we don't make promises we can't keep. Yeah. And, you know, they're running, trying to, like, get to, I'm like, y'all have no boat.
No boat.
He's gone.
And Jamie, your arm is, like, in a sling. It's messed up. You're not about to get in the water and swim. Oh my gosh.
It's such a mess.
It was a mess.
It is such a mess. And I don't know who these people have taken him. And they, like, right before they left, like, or maybe last episode, they mentioned, like, if he gets, you know, taken on one of these ships or something and gets taken to the colonies, we'll never see him again.
Yeah.
And I'm like, where are these boats going? Who are these people?
Who are these people? Well, that's the question. That is the question. And what are Jamie and Claire about to do? Because they got
they don't have any stones or treasure now.
He was snatched. Oh, and true, they don't have the treasure anymore. That's a good point. Well, let me ask you this. We mentioned it already. What did you think about the use of flashbacks in this episode? Because they did it twice to talk about Jamie's first time on Silky Island, and then the next time Jamie at Hogmanay. So did you find that it contributed to the story? Did it help the storytelling or not? What do you think?
On both of them. I'll do the Hogmanay. Mm-hmm. I think so. I was like, it's like Christmas. But yeah, so obviously it's different. I thought that helped a whole lot to understand why Jamie is married to Leary, because he obviously, even in that moment, he says that was the first time he felt happiness in a long time. He connects with the girls and he does care for them, and they do bring a side of joy to him, which is really great. So yes, I did think that one added to it. And it made me see what he saw in Leary. And even though I'm still not about this marriage, I understand his affection for the children. The second one, when it shows him on the island the first time, that was devastating. That was really heartbreaking, because we hadn't seen what happened on that island. I really didn't know where he got the sapphire that he gave John Gray. And so I was kind of curious as to where that came from. But to see him kind of see truth in what he was told, but not the whole truth of it, and knowing, I think that was kind of the official moment for Jamie where Claire was gone.
Yeah, I agree with you.
He held out so much hope, and that moment on that island was the moment that Claire was gone. There was no Claire.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. I agree with you completely. And I think sometimes, and that's the thing, like Outlander hasn't used flashback too much, I don't think. I wouldn't say they've used it too much. But I feel like there are some cases, not on Outlander, but just generally speaking, where a flashback can take away from the episode. I didn't feel that way about this. I agree with you that it was important to see sort of, it was a way of taking us inside Jamie's thoughts as as he sort of relived these experiences for Claire's sake. And yeah, that first time on Silky Island, yeah, you could tell it. Like when he said that, you know, if Duncan Kerr wasn't already dead, I would have gone back and killed him for giving me hope. That was, yeah, you could tell that was like, yeah, he found this treasure, but what really mattered to him, having Claire back, was completely like, that just was not a thing that was ever going to happen again. And oh, my heart.
I know, that was so sad. That really was. He kind of,
yeah.
That was sad.
Yeah.
But it was, I was glad to see it because we hadn't seen that moment where he kind of lost that hope. But now knowing that that's the moment he lost that hope, and then knowing what happens to him when he goes back to prison, and then to find out what happens to him again at Hellwater, Jamie is a man who's lost everything.
Gosh. Oh, now Katie, you're making me feel bad for being mad at him.
Well, no, we should still be mad at him because
Jamie lost a lot. Jamie lost a lot. He paid a big price. And he paid such a big price for the sake of Culloden, for the sake of defending his country, for the sake of defending his people. He paid a heavy price. And it is really quite sad to think about it. But I guess we juxtapose that now with the fact that Claire is back and they are together, and as you said, they are better together. So I guess there's hope in that is all I want to say.
He has his hope back. And yeah, so now, I mean, Ian's in a bit of a pickle, but
in a massive
figure it out.
Yeah.
They'll figure it out. And I hope they do.
They better figure it out.
You're going, what happens to...
Are you Googling? Don't Google yet.
Moment because I don't want to say something accidentally while recording this to people. So I'll get it later.
Ned Gowan lives.
He does. And like Claire said, you don't look like you've aged a day.
And he's like, it's because I never got married.
Yeah, I was like, Ned.
Ned is still hilarious. And he's still a little bit shady, too. Yeah. Ned is kind of shady, too. Like, when he's like, but can we talk about, Leary is a hot mess. So you going to tell me you shoot this man, Jamie, that is, you shoot him.
And then
after you shot him and run off, you go to the Justice of the Peace to make a complaint and demand money because of distress. Like, Leary, you have to be bold as brass. Like, what are you doing? Like, oh my gosh. Leary.
I was so stunned by that because I was like, she realizes that if they come and talk to Jamie, that he has a gunshot wound. Right?
Evidence.
Like, he has, like, he's been shot, and she's obviously mad at him because of what has gone on. Like, we can put the dots together.
Yeah.
But even in that moment, Jamie's like, when Ned's like, hey, we could totally...
we could send her to have her sent to Virginia.
And he's like, no, we're not going to do that. Yeah. For the kids.
For the sake of the kids.
For the kids.
For the sake of the kids.
For the sake of the kids, we won't do that.
Yeah.
And so Jamie's still nice. Jamie's a good guy. And,
good.
You know.
Jamie is good. Jamie is quite good. He's a good person. I believe that sincerely. Which is why we know that he will stop at absolutely nothing to get his nephew back from wherever his nephew has been taken to.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of tonight's episode, the preview, like, I don't know, I don't think it was a preview of next week. I think it was a preview of the last 5 episodes. And I tweeted something like, buckle up, Sassenachs. This is going to get real crazy. And it is. Like, the last 5, we thought these first episodes were quick. I have a feeling these last 5 episodes are going to pick things up even more, so that, events are just going to start unfolding. So it's buckle up, Sassenachs. It's gonna be a bumpy ride. But I mean, if you read the books, you knew that. You knew what's coming, and it's gonna be intense.
It seems like it's gone by so fast. Like for me, the first 5 episodes were so they seemed slow, not necessarily slow as in boring, but just they built so much of the story of what their lives were like and everything like that. And it was just very character building and like very character driven. And then 6, 7, and 8 have been like bam, 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 like story. We're like, we are on the train and we are going now. And I am just like, oh, these things just keep happening. Like, why with all these cliffhanger endings and secrets? And I'm so scared of what's coming.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they're on a boat.
They're on a boat.
They're on a boat. So that is the most we can say.
And Jamie loves boats so much. So, I mean, he's thrilled.
Like my eyes are wide. Like, there's I have so many questions that I don't think I can bring those questions up until next week. But there are, like, I have questions about other characters. Like, for example, Fergus. Like, for example,
Fergus gone.
Where has Fergus gone? Where has Yi Tian Cho gone? Right? So I have all these questions. So again, I know what happens in the books, but I am curious to see how the TV show sort of brings these characters together or doesn't bring these characters together. But we will see. We will see. But yeah, tonight was a good episode. Tonight was a good episode. I enjoyed it. Let me put it that way. There was quite a bit of conflict, but I thought that the show moved forward in a strong way. So I'm pleased. I'm pleased with First Wife. There's only one wife, and it's Claire, by the way.
Yes. Yeah, there's only one wife. It's Claire. And you know, if I was Lyra, I'd probably be a little, a little peeved too. She thinks she finally got the guy she wanted, but she didn't. But yeah.
But on that.
Yeah. But I liked this episode. I mean, I did finally feel that the tension and the underlying angst between them came out, and I was happy for that, because there's only so much time you can spend kind of like walking on eggshells around a person before it just doesn't work anymore. And you have to yell or get angry or kind of vent your frustrations. And these have sort of been 20 years in the making. So it was good. It came together, and I'm happy with it. And Jamie and Claire are together, and now we see where it takes us.
Yes. We're on a boat.
We're on a boat.
I'm gonna keep saying.
So, yay.
Okay, that's all I have, Katie. How about you?
Yeah, that's all I've got. It was good. I enjoyed it.
I enjoyed it too. Thank you very much to everyone who watched and who's watching with us. And please, as always, we want to hear from you. We love hearing from you. So please comment below. Share your thoughts about the episode, what you liked, what you didn't like. If you disagree with our comments, or maybe you agree with our comments, please read our recap. Again, the link is below. Comment on that. Find us on social media. Come talk to us. We always want to hear from you. And we certainly wish you well. We wish you a great week. And we hope that you and yours are safe and sound wherever you are.
Yes. I mean, you nailed it again. You're so good with words.
Thank you. You're
you. But yes, thank you, everyone. And thanks for watching us and watching with us and commenting and, brightening our week. Because as we kind of get comments or, you know, see that people, you know, that you're watching and you're enjoying it, it does, you know, it brightens our week, and it makes us happy that there are so many people who flail with Outlander, about Outlander with us. So thank you.
Thank you guys. Have a great week, and we'll see you back here next week. Bye.